Okay, so we talked about word walls and organized by word part, which I think is the best way depending on the age of the students. It really does depend on that a little bit as well. So, things to remember about word walls: all students should be able to see all the words, which means they should be large. So print them really large. You can either use a really big font on the printer and print them, or if you have neat handwriting, you can write them. Giving clues can help, so making all the nouns on blue paper, for example. It should be organized in some way, whether it's alphabetical or by unit. And once they're up, there should be activities that use the word wall. So, maybe having a sorting activity where you take them off the wall and have the students put them back up where they belong, or taking the words off the wall and having students insert them into sentences at the correct place, or even just covering the wall and having a quiz on the words. But once they go up there, they shouldn't be forgotten, is the basic idea. Activity 4, cut up and rearrange. Lots of you already do this. So if you take a dialogue or a reading and cut it into pieces, and then give it to students and have them predict what order the pieces go in. That can be sort of a fun pre-reading activity that gets them thinking about those cue words. And you can have a prize for the team who finishes first correctly, etc. We've done this in class when we put together the chart about effective teaching, but this can also certainly be done as a pre-reading exercise and is a good way to get them thinking about the text and get a first look at it. Activity 5 is banned words as you're reading. So we were going to read a short passage aloud, and I was going to just have each person read one sentence, and anytime you see a verb, you were supposed to make the beeping noise instead of saying the word. For example, if we took a look at this passage, I gave a clue for the first one. I made the first verb red to indicate that you would beep instead of saying the word. So the passage would sound like this. She beeped into the bathroom. She beeped the cap off the tube of toothpaste. She beeped some toothpaste onto her toothbrush. She beeped on the cold water. She beeped her upper teeth and beep out some toothpaste. You get the idea. You can have them choose a silly noise to make or whatever. You can have them beep out the verbs, the nouns, the articles, the adjectives, whatever you feel like, in order to get them thinking sort of about the grammatical structure of the reading. So I just thought this one was kind of an interesting idea and could be fun depending on your class. Activity 6, reading bingo. This would also be a pre-reading activity, so if you give students a reading passage and then give them a blank bingo card, they should go through the passage and just select 9 random words to put onto the bingo card. Once they have it filled out, you would read sentences from the passage aloud. And if they hear their word being said, they cross off the word on their bingo card. You can either have them just make simple bingo, or like where it's 3 across, 3 down, 3 diagonally, or you can have them cross out every word before they call bingo, and then they would have to read the words back to you in order to check that they had bingo correct. So just kind of a fun idea. Reader's theater, we've already done a fair amount of acting in the class, and I know some of you have enjoyed that more than others. But if you take a piece of writing and turn it into a performed piece, it's not necessarily turning it into a play. So you take a poem or a short book or another written piece, and the students just practice reading it aloud dramatically. There's no change. It's not like you take the poem and turn it into a play, or take the book and turn it into a play. They're reading what's written on the page, but they're reading it dramatically with particular intonation. And this is something that they would practice extensively before they perform it in front of the class. It's not something that gets memorized. So the focus here is really being able to, decode the words on the page and give them meaning when they say them aloud. Intonation's really important here, and it's also a good time to focus on the pronunciation of certain words because they're going to be looking at the same text for quite a little while. So it's a good chance for them to really practice the pronunciation and get it perfect, or close to perfect. You could even do it around a theme, so you could have different groups perform different poems from the same author. There's a very famous poet in the United States. He writes poems for children, and his name is Shel Silverstein, and his poems are very, very funny, and they come with illustrations, and they lend themselves really well to being read aloud, and especially because they contain lots of humor. So if you don't know about this guy, check him out, because he's written some great, great, great books, and a lot of the poems are available on the internet with the images. So basically, those were the ideas. We were going to go through and try some examples of them together and look more extensively at the pictures and also look at the activities that you had come up with. So again, if you have a reading-based activity or vocabulary-based activity that you really like, that you would like to share with the group, please feel free to submit it to me and I will post it to the website. Otherwise, your only homework is to work on your lesson plan presentation with your partner. Remember, your presentations are next Tuesday and Thursday, but you have to send me your lesson plan 24 hours at least before you present. Don't forget that. So that means your actual lesson plan is due Monday or Wednesday, depending on the day you present. Monday, we will talk a little bit more about these strategies, and also you'll have time to work on your presentation with your partner and have time to ask me questions and bounce things off of me, and make sure you really understand what the lesson plan template is asking you. But I think that's pretty much all. Also don't forget you have your textbook as a resource. We did not read all the chapters because we had such a short time, 5 weeks. But there are other things in there that might be beneficial and that might give you some good ideas for this final lesson plan. And of course the internet. I sent you a site yesterday with links to hundreds of blogs which have really fantastic ideas. So hopefully you'll be able to take advantage of those resources, and again, as I stressed before, this really should not be exactly the same as something you have already used in Brazil, because the whole point is to try to look at something you've already used and try to find a way to make it even better. And I know you're all very creative teachers to start with, so it might be a challenge, but I think you can do it. So thanks for listening to the lecture. I hope you enjoy your snow day. I will see you on Monday.